So today we're going to be making shrimp and grits dressing. Let's do this. Okay guys, today we are going to make shrimp and grits dressing. We are going to need about a third of a red and a orange pepper diced, a couple of green diced onions. We're going to need about a half a cup of Parmesan cheese, a half a cup of butter, 3 cups of chicken broth, 3 eggs, some minced garlic, some red pepper, some salt. We're also going to need some breadcrumbs, and we're going to need our grits. I actually got quick grits because they're easier, but whatever kind of grits you normally make is up to you. And we're going to do this thing. You're also going to need about a half a pound of shrimp. You want to clean it and devein it. And we're going to add our seasoning before we do everything else so that we can have it marinating before we get ready to put it in our dish. I added about 2 teaspoons of chopped garlic. You don't need too much garlic because garlic is strong. You don't want it to be salty. And some Cajun seasoning, and I also added a little bit of Old Bay garlic and butter seasoning, and we're just going to mix that in, and we're going to let it sit until we need it later. Okay, so basically we're cooking grits like we normally cook them, but instead of using water, we're going to use the chicken broth. So you're going to put your 3 cups of chicken broth in your pan and bring it to a boil. You also want to add a dash or 2 of red pepper. Same for some salt. And then you want to mix 1 cup of grits in your broth. Stir it up and let it come back to a boil. Once it begins to boil, you want to reduce your heat and put it on low and cover the pot. Okay, so while our grits are cooking, which should only take about 10 minutes, we're going to mix the other ingredients together. So you see that I've whipped my eggs. I'm going to add my peppers and green onions. I'm also going to add 1 cup of breadcrumbs and my Parmesan cheese. And we're going to go ahead and mix all of that together. I'm also going to add some butter to my grits as well while they're simmering. So as you can see, my grits are done and I've placed them in a casserole dish. I've also added a little melted butter. If you don't want to add the butter, you just need to spray your pan a little bit at the bottom, but I believe that the butter will give it a little more flavor. At this time, I'm also going to preheat my oven to 325. And then I'm going to add my mixture. And I'm going to mix it together. You can also add a little more chicken broth at this time if you want it to be loose. Also, don't overcook your grits because you don't want it to be hard because you still have to bake the grits, but you also don't want your grits to be loose either. So now that we have it all mixed together, you can go ahead and taste it at this time to see if you would like to add more seasoning. You also, if you want to make more than this little casserole dish, you can double the ingredients. But we're going to put it in the oven for about 30 to 45 minutes at 325. It may take longer, but I always suggest to start with a shorter length so that you don't overcook it. Everybody's oven is different. So once you start making the dish more often, then you'll know exactly how much time you need to put it in the oven. So we're going to start with 30 to 45 minutes. I'm also going to add a little bit more breadcrumbs to the top so that it will have that dressing look once it's baked. And this is not normally how I make my dressing, so I'm learning just like you guys, but let's see how it turns out. It's almost ready, you guys. And this is what our shrimp and grits dressing should look like when we're done.